So what if I told you that there's at least a dozen or so really awesome legendary items that you and probably most players out there completely missed upon without even realizing? And I don't just mean any legendary, I mean crafting specs of legendary quality that you can basically use at the maximum level too, making them some of the most desirable items currently in the game. Unfortunately, there is a major bug currently in the game that is completely preventing people from even acquiring these awesome legendary crafting specs in the first place, which is why I also wanted to make this video. So let me explain it in full detail. Out of the 8 or so clothing stores currently in Cyberpunk 2077, about 3 of them have the possibility of selling about a handful of legendary crafting specs each. And here is where most players kinda got screwed over by the system simply because this bug affected their playthroughs as well and they did not even realize it. Like for example, you might have visited one of these shops early on in the game, realized that some of these shopkeepers have some really awesome legendary crafting specs over there at the bottom, and because of their high cost you thought to yourself that, well, I'm just gonna come back later and purchase them when I have the funds, right? Well, not really, because the second time you interact with these shopkeepers, they will completely lose those crafting specs and they will never spawn again into their inventory. It doesn't matter if you waited 24 in-game hours or a week or a year, it doesn't matter if you skip time or whatever, you're never gonna see them again because of this bug. So until CD Projekt Red comes in and fixes this, hopefully in the next few days or maybe weeks, here is the full-on workaround. Because this entire problem started from the simple fact that you interacted with those shopkeepers and never purchased their crafting specs. So if you already got a pretty advanced or late save file that you already used to interact with these NPCs, then you're kinda out of luck. You can either just go back at the previous save file or otherwise be mindful of this in your next playthrough, kinda like what I'm doing right here. Once you have done all of that, then the only thing you need to know is that creating a manual save before you ever interacted with each of these particular shopkeepers is going to save you a ton, and you can use this manual save to reload it to make sure that you get the proper pieces, which is kind of like what I'm doing right here in the background. So let me give you the example that we have right here. Let's say I'm going to this shop, checking out the NPC's inventory. The thing about this is that, as you can see, this is an early stage save where I did not interact with this shopkeeper at all up until this point, and he was able to spawn quite a number of really awesome crafting specs of legendary quality. The thing is that if I were to even skip the time 24 hours ahead, he would not hold them anymore at all from this point on in his or her inventory because they completely disappeared, and this includes the lower quality versions as well. So here is what you need to do. Just create a manual save point before ever interacting with one of these shopkeepers. That is literally the only thing to do, and it's the major workaround that will work for you, because from this point on, if you use this manual save, you can reload it constantly until you get all of the crafting specs from each of the NPCs that hold these in the game. So here's what you need to know about where you can find these in the first place. As I've said, there's about 8, 9 or 10 of these shopkeepers in the game, but only 3 of them actually sell legendary grade crafting specs. 2 of them are going to be in the city center, so one of them is really close to the Arasaka center. The second one is going to be the Jinguji one where you encounter the max tech force, and finally there's going to be the one in west of Wellsprings over here in Haywood that also sells about a handful of these legendary crafting pieces. As a matter of fact, between all of these there's about 12 or 15 or so items of legendary quality that you can get really easily. So yeah, with that being said and done, let's begin with the one in West Haywood. So it's gonna be this one right here. Of course, I already created a save file, so we're just gonna check its inventory. As you can see, there's about 4 of these items right here, but I already know that this can spawn all the way up to 5, so we can get all 5 of the crafting specs that spawn at this particular shopkeeper. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna exit the shop and I'm gonna go in and simply reload the manual save file. And lo and behold, I did this a number of times and it already spawned all 5 of the crafting specs, at least that I know of, that can spawn in his, or well, in this case, her inventory. So this includes a number of really awesome pieces. Like one of them is this really cool looking golden legendary cowboy hat. Of course, we already got a previous one from one of the corpses in the game, but unfortunately that didn't come as a legendary quality, and even more so with a crafting spec. And then we have this really awesome set of visors with the golden outlook. I really enjoy it. It's really awesome, also fitting with the rest of the outfit. Maybe not so much with the jacket. Maybe the jacket is from a different outfit, but it still looks really awesome. This is of course a rocker kind of vest, so you can make it work with all kinds of outfits. The other ones are going to be of course this pair of pants that also looks really nice. It's kind of like the Neo Tech pants that we got a while ago, but in this case with a golden shine over there at the top. And finally this really awesome demon shirt with the demon kind of effect over there on the chest belly area, so basically you can see it from certain angles way more visible. Now the second shop is going to be again in the Arasaka Center. It's going to be this Avante shop right here, and again, just checking it for the very first time, you can even see it that it didn't spawn any legendaries at all. So in this case, don't get discouraged, just go ahead, restart your save file, the manual save file that you did before this, and go ahead and check its inventory, and lo and behold, in this case it only spawned one of these legendary crafting specs. But I already know that it spawns up to 4 of them, so you can see 3 of them already right here. Like we have this really awesome jacket. Like this is definitely one of my favorite jackets right now in the game. It's called the Sin Silk Poser jacket. That kind of brings me that Vice City vibe because of that that image over there on the back, but it also looks really awesome with all the trims and just the overall color overall. And there's also the Geisha combat shirt, by the way. We finally found it, and also kind of like a part of the set, so also full on legendary crafting spec. You can go ahead and also get, by the way, the legs for it. So the same shopkeeper will also hold the legs, but unfortunately this crafting spec will only be of epic quality, so try to grab it as well because it is definitely worth it. Outside of this, of course, there's also a bunch of other stuff, including 2 pair of pants. So one of these is this membrane support golden looking kind of pants that you can rock really well with a bunch of other items from the same shopkeeper. And there's also a second pair of pants, by the way, pretty similar to that, but in this case they are short pants or hot pants. If you want to go with a more skimpy kind of look for your female V, this is probably gonna be the best one for you. And finally we have the Militoxic Combat Exo Jacks that complete the previous outfit with the pants that we got in Haywood, so they look something like this. Again, really awesome, and I really enjoy the trims and like everything they are about. The final one is going to be the Jinguji one, which is basically where you encounter the max stack force and one of the psychos in the game. But well, in this case, this shopkeeper also sells about 4 or 5 legendary items, as you can see. So in one of these footages you can see me collecting about well, 4 at the same time. So 1 2 3 4 is what I'm able to buy. I don't think anything on top of this spawns, but yeah, this is the maximum I was able to get. So one of them is the beanie. If you don't have any beanies, you can go ahead and just get the crafting spec for this. There's also another one of legendary quality, but that's as a drop, and we will cover it maybe sometimes later. For the eyes, we have a pretty awesome looking pair of blue BDs that kind of cover your entire, well, head all the way up in the back, so you can see them going around, assuming that you don't have like a ton of hair. Then we also have this skirt. Looks pretty interesting. I kind of like it. Of course, it mostly fits a female V, but then finally we only have this pair of shoes, the Hunter Tongs, that yeah, kind of looks something like this if you want something a bit more sporty. And yeah, that's kind of pretty much it. That's kind of it when it comes to all of these crafting specs. Again, a ton of them. You can combine them in really interesting ways and come up with some really amazing outfits that you normally can't, because the game just locks you out of them. So until CDPR comes in and fixes this, which I believe is gonna be soon enough, just go ahead, do what I just told you, create the manual save files before interacting with the shopkeepers, and you should be fine and more than capable of getting all of these. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.